morning, everybody. Welcome. My name is Michelle Leonard. I'm the president and CEO of the San Benito County Chamber of Commerce and Visitor Center. I'm so grateful that you all had the time to join us today. I'm really looking forward to learning more about all of you. Today, our special guests are Councilwoman Dolores Morales. Thank you for being here. And Sheriff Eric Taylor, thank you so much for your time. We are looking forward to asking you some questions and kind of doing a deep dive into who you are and what your passions are. The focus of Chamber Cafecito is that we can learn more about you, but also to do it in English and Spanish. So whatever you feel comfortable, however, there's a mix of English, Spanish, or Spanglish. My Spanish, I'm a little slow on the Spanish, but I can understand it more than I speak it. So I'll understand and I'll respond mostly in English, and then Eddie will take the lead on more of the Spanish. So Eddie, our executive director of our foundation, Eddie, you are awesome. So I'd love for you to say a few words and, introduce yourself and get to know the crew here.
Thank you so much. Muy buenos días a todos. Bienvenidos. Muchas gracias por estar con nosotros el día de hoy. Un viernes por la mañana, muy contentos de estar aquí, compartir este espacio con un miembro del concilio de la ciudad de Hollister, Dolores Morales, y Sheriff Eric Taylor, que están con nosotros como los invitados de Chamber Cafecito del mes de marzo. Mi nombre es Eduardo Navarro, soy el director ejecutivo de la Fundación de la Cámara de Comercio del Condado de San Benito, y estamos aquí para compartir un poco más de sus experiencias, de sus historias, de lo que los inspira, por qué escogieron el Condado de San Benito y qué es lo que los motiva de estar aquí, trabajar aquí, compartir un poquito más de ustedes en un nivel un poco más personal tal vez, pero nuevamente les recordamos que es un espacio súper informal. Queremos que se sientan muy cómodos y a gustos para compartir un poquito más de quiénes son ustedes. Así que muchas gracias. Thank you once again for being here. Yeah, I think we're ready to go. And also thank you to everyone that's joining us either on Zoom. I see a couple of attendees. We have some folks on Facebook. And then just as a reminder, we will have this recording available a little bit after we finish Cafecito. We'll upload it not only to our YouTube channel, but to our website.
So if it's okay with all of you, I will go ahead and start in English. My question is for Councilwoman Dolores Morales. Can you please tell us about the work you do and about your role with your company and within the city of Hollister, and what drives you to keep doing this line of work?
Good morning, buenos días. Muchas gracias por invitarme aquí. Thank you so much for joining, for inviting me here today. So I am a newly elected city council member for the city of Hollister. Why I joined the council was to improve our community and to improve our future, to make better financial and policy decisions, and to support the community and hopefully work together. Estoy voluntaria para la ciudad de Hollister. Fue electada para hacer decisiones para ayudar a la comunidad, no solamente en el trabajo que hacemos, pero para hacer las decisiones que nos ayuden para hacer las decisiones financieras que nos ayuden a nuestra comunidad, y para hacer regulaciones que enfuerzan nuestra comunidad y a nuestro futuro.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Would you like to say a few words as well, Sheriff Eric Taylor?
Sure. Thank you for having me here. So my name is Eric Taylor. I'm the sheriff and coroner of the county of San Benito. I guess I'll probably try to do a little mixture of English and Spanish here. I'll do the best that I can. Pero soy el alguacil forense del Condado de San Benito. We provide all the public safety services for the entire community. Hollister Police Department exists in the city of Hollister. It's an incorporated city and they have their own police department. However, we do provide police services to the city of San Juan Bautista on a contractual basis. I came here really because San Benito County Sheriff's Office in the distant past didn't have the best reputation probably in law enforcement in this area of California, and so I was driven to come here and try to help move us into a better place. and also try to fix and reconstruct some of our alliances with our community and our community-based organizations and our government partners as well. Damos todos los servicios de seguridad pública a los residentes de nuestra comunidad. No controlamos la ciudad de Hollister, ellos tienen su propio departamento. Somos la policía de ciudad de San Bautista por contrato. Estoy motivado a estar aquí porque esta oficina no tenía la mejor reputación en el cumplimiento de la ley. Quiero continuar construyendo nuestras alianzas con nuestra comunidad, empresas y nuestros socios en el gobierno. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing a little bit about who you are in your role in the community. I think a perfect follow-up question to something like that is, what is it that really kind of inspires and motivates you to continue the work here in San Benito County? I know you said a little bit about, being here and identify maybe some areas where, you'd like to maybe serve or change. And, both of you as kind of as public officials, for either the city or the county, what is that driver for you? What is it that motivates you, and why? Like, why do you say, this is what I want to wake up every morning, and this is why I want to do what I want to do, and why is that important for you? And we can switch back over to Councilwoman Dolores Morales, and then we'll trade off.
Gracias por la pregunta. ¿Qué me motiva? Porque hago lo que hago por la gente que vive aquí, por la familia, porque llegué y cuando llegué tuve una situación y mis vecinos, personas que nunca conocí, vinieron y me ayudaron. Aparte de eso, me encanta la comunidad, me encanta el espacio aquí, me encanta el sentido de amor, de comunidad, de la tranquilidad, de que todos nos ayudamos, y espero contribuir en una forma positiva para que siga adelante, no nada más ahorita, pero en 5 y 10 años, y que nuestros hijos tengan la oportunidad de disfrutar lo que ahorita nosotros estamos disfrutando. So why I'm working in the city council, or why I ran for office, and why I'm going to continue to run for office, is because I really love our community. I fell in love with the city of Hollister. I chose to live here for my family because I have 2 children, and I really want them to experience what community feels like, what it is to help each other, what it is to enjoy a beautiful, the hills, our parks, our community, and the warmness that I felt when I first moved here. I really want them to experience it, and I hope that their children get to experience that as well. So that's why the policy and financial and the future decisions of our city are important, and that's why I do the work.
Thank you. Sheriff Eric Taylor.
Does it go? Probably goes back to me, right? I'm very driven to really, as the head of the office, to show my staff the importance of being involved in the community, in doing things more than just going out and trying to take people to jail. So, there is a part of our job that we need to hold people accountable. We understand that. But there's a whole other side of public safety that I'm passionate about, which is in the intervention and prevention. And so because of that, I've tried to involve myself since I've been here in this office in a lot of different areas of our community. I'm a member of the Hollister Rotary. I'm a director for the San Benito County Saddle Horse Show and Rodeo. I volunteer at the high school. I'm a part of a lot of boards and task forces here in the community. I'm a founding member of the opioid task force that we have in this community. I'm a founding member of the LULAC Farm Worker Task Force, which is really, it's a group of us that are trying to protect our migrant farm workers and create better allegiance with everybody that's working in our migrant farm community. I work with First 5 San Benito. I'm a founding member of the Impact Center that we have with them. I've been working with First Five San Benito to bring programs for parenting and children to our community to try to make sure that we're kind of doing some intervention and prevention work outside of our enforcement work. I've brought programs to our community that we're rolling out right now. One of the programs is called Agua con la Chota, which is a migrant outreach, and it's a way to get our staff integrated in to have really open and honest conversations with our migrant farm worker community and reduce some of the fears that are present when it comes to public safety, interacting with undocumented or migrant workers. So we're rolling that out. We're starting that with Tanasha Farms first, and we're going to pilot that there and then roll that out after. We're also starting a youth diversion program called Caminos, which is taking low-level youth offenders, first-time offenders at a low level, and putting them into a diversion and educational program and keeping them out of juvenile hall. That's something we've never done before here that I bring into this office. And the other thing that we're doing is we're working also with LULAC, a program called Adelante, which is a mentorship program for our youth. So we're pairing up some of our deputy sheriffs with some of our youth in LULAC to mentor them, really. And maybe they want to get into law enforcement someday, maybe not. But you know, if nothing else, it's just some nice mentorship that we're going to be able to do. So we have some deputy sheriffs that have stepped up to do that. Sorry, I got a little bit lost in my answer there, but I'll do the best I can to go back over it a little bit in Spanish. But me encanta esta comunidad de San Benito y Hollister, y como un líder estoy tratando que enseñar los que trabajan conmigo que tienen que estar parte de la comunidad, aparte de poner esposas en sus manos de unas personas y ponerlos en el bote. So, con eso estoy en el Hollister Rotary. Soy director de rodeo de San Benito. Soy voluntario para la San Benito High School y formo parte de numerosas juntas y grupos de trabajo. Soy miembro fundador del grupo de trabajo sobre tenemos muchos sobredosis de opioides aquí en el condado. Estoy un founding member de este grupo y también del grupo de trabajo de trabajadores agrícolas de LULAC. Trabajo con First Five San Benito y soy miembro fundador de Impact Center ahí en First Five San Benito. He trabajado para traer programas para padres a nuestro condado y actualmente estoy haciendo alcance a inmigrantes desde nuestra oficina y de viso y tutoría de jóvenes. También creí la primera oficina de servicios comunitarios y de apoyo en nuestro condado para que nuestra oficina puede brindar un mejor servicio y conectarse con nuestros residentes. Gracias.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for sharing a little bit more about your story. And I think, I mean, here, I don't know, Michelle, how you feel, but it's like so inspiring to hear not only how deeply involved, but deeply invested you are in our community. I think as someone who lives and works here and celebrates a lot of the different aspects of who we are, it's super, I think, rewarding and comforting to know we have people much like yourselves and so many others, both known and unknown, right, that are just changing and doing so much in the community. Creo que es algo muy importante de destacar y subrayar que muchas de las veces se nos olvida el trabajo que cada quien hacemos y a veces, muchas de las veces es de parte de gente que conocemos, que es muy visible, pero también a veces hay muchas cosas que son un poco debajo del radar, no son muy conocidos o las acciones son un poco más behind the scenes, right? Y creo que es algo pues muy importante de reconocer, porque todos queremos una mejor comunidad, ¿no? Todos queremos mejorar la comunidad, no nomás para nosotros, pero también como para nuestras familias y las generaciones que están por venir.
For sure. It's so awesome to hear that we have such great leaders in San Benito County. And I think if I was ever given an opportunity to like have like one word that describes the both of you, is that you guys are so proactive. Like there's nothing that's reactive to San Benito County. You guys are super innovative and you're always bringing new ideas. And I love that you're bringing San Benito County forward. I think that's super important for us. I mean, just for all of us as leaders through the generations and future leaders to see that, you know, we are capable of constant change and betterment and innovation in all departments, whether it's from a city, county, nonprofit, or private sector level. Like we're all capable of so many proactive and innovative things. So I am really thankful for both of you and the hard work that you do. And Eddie, you too. I'm appreciative of all your hard work too. So for me, like, I really want to get to know like who you guys are and like, you know, what's your family like? What are your hobbies and like what really motivates you? Like I see some really cool stuff that you guys do like on Facebook and social media. And I love that you guys are so like open digitally and like accessible to the community. So, you know, what are some fun things we don't know about you and what are some things you're passionate about?
You want to flip a coin, Chair Taylor?
Just like ping pong. Let's go first.
So my passion is family. So I try to spend as much time as I can with my parents and my siblings, even though they're super busy. And I have two young men that one of them he's an environmental scientist at Humboldt State University. He's a senior. Hopefully he'll graduate this year. Say that because of COVID, and it's been a weird 2 years, I think. And fun things about me is that I love reading. I have a passion for boxing. I boxed and did Krav Maga. I can't even say it anymore. It's been so long. For 6 years. And so I'm 5'2". People could argue that I'm 5'1". So I used to be a really good basketball player, even though I'm super short. And I love playing soccer. I think sports really have helped with my competitiveness and ability to just maintain hopefully healthy. But really, I love watching and seeing like my people that I love and care about just being happy. I also really involved in a lot of different things in a variety of different organizations. So I love watching a little biased women be successful. So I invest a lot of time in education and leadership, and then just helping other women, you know, get a seat at the table. And so I really love seeing women be bosses like Michelle, and seeing them, you know, succeed. So that really puts a big smile on my face. And of course, you know, watching my young men just be amazing, you know, contributing members to society, and just that makes my heart it just amplifies. Mis pasiones y lo que me hace sonreír es mi familia, mis padres, mis hijos. Mi hijo chico está yendo a la Universidad de Humboldt, está estudiando las ciencias de la tierra y espero que se gradúe este año porque los últimos 2 años con COVID fueron difíciles para todos los estudiantes. Personalmente, algo de mí, me gusta boxear. No soy peleonera ni nada, pero me gusta hacer ejercicio, me gusta jugar soccer, me gusta jugar básquetbol. Encanto ayudar a la comunidad en diferentes formas, y especialmente a las mujeres que necesitan estar en la mesa, necesitan contribuir en una manera que por nuestra historia no tuvimos la oportunidad de hacerlo. Entonces, devoto mucho de mi tiempo para ayudar a otras mujeres a entrenamiento o a participar en políticas o en lo que en la forma que ellas quieren ser ayudadas. Y me gusta ver a las personas que quiero ser felices.
Thank you for sharing a little bit about that. That's super inspiring. I think just a quick note, that's really, I think, humbling and just really kind of like level setting for me to hear, because I have a sister who I love and I adore, and he's not only like hearing you say that, like, hey, we need to make space for women to be successful and have a seat at the table. Not only do you talk the talk, but you're walking the walk, right? You're a trailblazer simply by who you are. I think that's super, super important, to just create these spaces and say, hey, like, no, we are like, you guys are powerhouses, right? In your own right. And in a society that's typically very patriarchal and heteronormative and all of these things, it's super inspiring that even nowadays, it's like the younger generations are getting involved. Young people just in general, young, Latinas, young women, they're getting super involved and super invested in like public service and nonprofits and all of these community impact and service programs. I think it's super just amazing to see. So one, thank you. And two, it's just super, it kind of touches home, because this is one of the things we always talk about at home, and in terms of like my sister and everything. Something else I can help with? Oh, I apologize for that. But thank you for that. Sorry, I didn't mean to interject, but it was just, yeah.
That's funny. I love technology so much.
Right.
Sheriff Taylor, I love seeing how close you are with your family. I love seeing you and your wife around town, and you and your family sharing your moments. Can you tell us more about like your hobbies, what you do outside of work, and like what you're passionate about?
Yeah, thank you. So I appreciate that you keyed in on that, because honestly, my wife and my daughters are my world. They're everything to me. We have a very close family. We're fortunate that our kids, for some reason, still love doing everything with us. We do everything together. We have a very unified and close family with my wife Jackie and our two girls, and so we spend a lot of our time with my in-laws, the Hernandez family, my wife's parents, and her large family with her sisters and her brother. And the majority of our time really is spent immersed in my wife's Mexican culture, really. And so that's kind of how my kids have been brought up in that environment. So it's been really nice for me. We spend a lot of our time in the water as a family. We camp a lot, but we're usually around some type of body of water. If it's not a swimming pool, it's the ocean. If it's not the ocean, it's a lake. If it's not the lake, it's swimming holes up in Arroyo Seco. Matter of fact, our daughter's bugging us to go there tomorrow to go swimming up at Arroyo Seco in the gorge. So we spend a lot of time in the water as a family. Outside of the family stuff, to kind of like things that I'm interested in or keeps me grounded, is that I announce for the high school. So I'm one of the announcers. I am the announcer for basketball. I announce baseball a little bit, but then I'm the kind of the backup announcer for football. So I cover when those guys aren't able to do it. So it's really a nice thing. It's something I enjoy doing, and it's rolled me into being able to volunteer my time and be an announcer for the Hollister Rebels youth football organization. Frank Casillas has been great to me, and I've been able to be a part of that, which has been great and amazing. And then just, if anybody knows me well, they know that really what props me up and keeps me going is my wife, Jacqueline. We've been married for I should know exactly how long, but it's been quite a while. We got married in early 2000s, and I met her a number of years before we got married, but she was born and raised in Apatzingán, Michoacán, Mexico, She came here at 11 years old, undocumented. And so it was through my relationship with my wife and her family that I really, for the first time in my life, had an understanding of the struggles and the fight and just a lot of the things that they have gone through, the fear of government, the fear of law enforcement. And had she not come into my life and had us not connected the way we did, and had I not been open to learning, then I wouldn't have the outlook on things that I have today. And I owe all of that to her. The two of us have two beautiful daughters which are of dual ethnicity. They are just one thing that's really nice for us, and this is the thing that I've tried to like explain to our staff, is that my daughters are like the perfect example of a blending of culture. My kids are just as comfortable at a quinceañera as they are in a multi-million-dollar lake house. They don't see any difference. They just take everybody as human beings and just as people. And I think that that's my wife and I are kind of a testament of like the way that people can come together and appreciate each other's cultures and appreciate why different people do different things. And so like that's a huge drive for me to like be able to roll that into public safety and express to our staff and our deputy sheriffs that it's really important to recognize that everybody has struggle and everybody is a human being. So that's really one of my big drivers, but it all goes back to my wife and kids. And I used to joke with everybody that even our animals are female, and we have a lot of animals at our house, but I'm the only guy around. So to kind of piggyback a little bit and brag, but what Dolores was talking about and what you kind of keyed on, Eduardo, is that there's a perception here in the sheriff's office that we don't have a lot of female representation. And in part of that is true. So if you think about our office, there's two sides of our office. We have the jail and we have operations, or like patrol. The easiest way to explain is patrol. Struggled to attract and hire female deputy sheriffs that want to go out and work the street. It's a very different environment when you're talking about a rural sheriff's office with very limited staffing. And so we've just struggled, but it's not for lack of effort. We've just struggled there. However, we do have a phenomenal representation in our jail. I was recently able to promote an amazing person named Araceli Montalvo, who very much like my wife, came here from Michoacan when she was young with struggles. And she's a phenomenal leader in our office. But what I was able to do for the first time ever is promote the first ever female division commander in the sheriff's office history, a lady named Kelly Kennedy. She's a civilian employee, but she's the commander of the administrative division. She's the real sheriff, if I'm being honest with you. I mean, she controls everything with the money, our human resources, our risk management. I would be lost if I didn't have her. And so I just wanted to jump a little bit and kind of steal Dolores' thunder and talk about the importance for our office as well. And again, like I always do, because I don't script stuff out, I'm a little lost in my answer. So I can stop and we can go on to the next one, or I can try to translate a little bit of it, but maybe we can just move on to the next one, I guess.
Ping pong back and forth in English and Spanish. But I really love that you guys are tackling the difficult issues that we don't always hear too much about. As somebody that always keeps our ear to the ground with what's going on, I know that we're aware of a lot of the programs, but the community may not always be aware. So I really appreciate that you guys are taking time to engage with us so that the community can have more understanding of these programs that are happening. But also I love that you guys are tackling these hard issues. So for undocumented workers, people that have come to the United States later in life and not necessarily born here. I love that we can talk about those things because we have shared experiences about that. So I'm a girl mom too, Sheriff Taylor. So I have 3 young daughters. So I totally get it. My husband is always outnumbered in our house full of ladies. So we share that understanding for sure. And Dolores, I love that you're at the forefront helping lead all of us to change. I think that's so important. And I just absolutely love everything that you guys are doing. And I think for me, every day I see San Benito County becoming a better place because of this constant change, this constant impact. And so for me, like Dolores, you mentioned earlier that you love San Benito County and you want to raise your sons in a place where they have a really strong sense of community. For you both, what does that look like? What does a thriving community look like? What are your goals and aspirations for San Benito County? Ms. Dolores.
So I think whether you talk to people that have lived here forever, multi-generations, or people that just moved in, a month or a week ago, one of the things that really stands out to everybody is just the fact that everybody's friendly. So I can tell you in other jurisdictions and people who have, lived in other areas, you could live, 3 generations, like my family did in Sunnyvale, California. And I never knew my neighbors ever. Not because I didn't want to, I think because of the schedule, whether it's, working 3 jobs or going to school, full time. I think it was just the environment that was created that just did not allow the space for that. I really appreciate the fact that the city of Hollister and San Benito County really are intentional about building a sense of community. And that means having like a lot of young family driven events like we do with the Parks and Recs department. It means having farmers markets. It means having, people introduce you. Like the first time I met Michelle, come meet Michelle. And then 3 hours later, there we go. And not only the fact that people are nice and friendly and welcoming, I think it's also a sense that you're, whether you've lived here for 18 generations or you just moved here last week, is that, hey, I'm here, what do you need? How can I help you? Let me connect you to people that you really need to know and that are going to influence your life, whether it be politics or whether it be hiking or whether it be, cooking. I think we just have that natural sense of community that's been instilled. So the ability to maintain that, the ability to continue to, again, policy driven, financially driven, being able to make sure that that environment, it's continued, because a lot of the events that we have, whether, as Sheriff Taylor stated, whether it's through connecting our officers at schools or doing preventative programs or doing events through Parks and Recs or beautification projects, that it is at the forefront of what we're thinking as policymakers. And that is the intentionality of it creates and continues to create that environment that if you don't want to ever go outside your house, but your neighbors connect you, then you're invited to go to the farmer's market. You want to meet your neighbors. You want to be able to help each other out. You're, somebody's house burns down. You have everybody in the community donating clothes, donating money. Within a couple of hours, they have a place to live. That to me is a sense of community and why it's important, why San Benito, because it's lost everywhere else. La comunidad es muy importante. Algo especial de la ciudad de Hollister y el condado de San Benito es nuestra habilidad de ayudarnos uno a otro, de tener la oportunidad de tener eventos con la ciudad, con el condado, que son para familias jóvenes, que son para nuestra comunidad que no puede salir, que todos tenemos el corazón de ayudarnos. Si una casa se quema, en horas esa familia tiene un lugar donde vivir, en horas tienen comida, tienen ropa y la comunidad va a ayudarse. No porque es su obligación, porque nos nace en ayudarnos. Si no conoces a alguien que te gusta ir a caminar, tienes que conocer a Eduardo, porque le encanta caminar, él conoce a todo el mundo, él te puede llevar a los mejores restaurantes y eso nos nace, no solamente porque vivimos aquí, porque todo lo que hacemos, que sea la ciudad o condado, es algo que instilamos en nosotros y naturalmente nos nace. Y esto es algo muy especial que en otros lugares ya no se ve.
Starting to pick this up now. Now it's my turn. So a lot of for me is that this community reminds me. So I grew up in Watsonville, and this community reminds me of what it was like when I was younger in Watsonville. Very close, tight knit. I like what Dolores is saying. Like everybody's out to help each other, and what I really like about the way things are going right now is that when I first got here about 10 years ago, everyone didn't really play together very well. I felt like everybody was fighting over the same pot of money and nobody wanted to help each other out. And through the city council in Hollister and our new board of supervisors, and honestly, Michelle, with the chamber and the direction that everything's been going, I feel like this is a place that everybody wants to lift each other up. And for me, knowing that like this is a reminder of me the way that Watsonville used to be, it drives me to never let this place get to a place where we don't want our children to go out and play or people are being injured or hurt. And with that, I'm trying, not trying, but what I expect of our staff and what interests me is why people get themselves into problems, understanding the why. The majority of my career was in gang enforcement, and really what went from, and I was an aggressive cop, but what went from gang enforcement made me start to study, talk to people, and learn about what happened to get this person to this point in their life. And I think that that's just as big a part of public safety and keeping our community safe, to figure out the why. And when you're a young cop, you don't think about the why. You have the excitement of the job and you're just going out there to interrupt behavior, really, and solve problems. So because of that, I've recently become an instructor in a thing called principled policing. And Michelle, you talked a little bit about it's nice to have the difficult conversations. I've also I routinely sit in on some meetings through our behavioral health department, which it's kind of gone through different iterations, but basically it's called the Cultural Competence Committee. And we have like very real conversations about topics that are super uncomfortable. And honestly, being a Caucasian or a white guy and going into these things, I end up getting called on a lot for my opinion on stuff, but it's so refreshing that it's such a safe space to talk about these things that are uncomfortable. And that's exactly what I just went through in the principled policing class. We're learning the history that systemic racism is real, that implicit bias is real. And it doesn't mean we're bad people. It's just something we need to pay attention to. And so I have such a drive to make sure that our staff learns these things so that we can police better with more equality, equity, whatever code word you want to give it right now. But I want us to be a transparent place because this is such a safe community to live in. And if we ever turn a blind eye to problems, then we're not going to be a safe community anymore. And I won't let that happen. So I know we're getting a little short on time, but let me just try to rattle off a couple things in Spanish. But el condado de San Benito me recuerda como solía ser Watsonville. Es cerrado y muy unido. Es un lugar hermoso y seguro para vivir. Me atrajeron aquí para criar a mi familia en una ciudad y condado segura y orientada a la comunidad también. Me enamoré de Hollister y San Benito y quería ser parte de mejorar la oficina del alguacil, del sheriff. Otra cosa es que me interesa por qué la gente se mete en problemas como la adicción y las pandillas. Um, Recientemente me convertí en instructor de policía basado en principios, donde nos adentramos en la historia del racismo sistémico y el maltratado de partes de nuestra comunidad por parte del gobierno. Prometo ser un líder para asegurarme de que nuestra oficina contrate ayudantes de alguacil que reflejan la demografía de nuestra comunidad. Participo en el Comité de Competencia Cultural, donde discutimos temas difíciles relacionados con la raza, la cultura, la inclusión. Para mí es muy importante que todos nos sintamos apoyados, respetados e incluidos. Y la última cosa que quiero decir es que por la primera vez, no sé cómo se dice exactamente, but I promoted un que se llama Silvestre Llerena como teniente. Él es el comandante de un bureau nueva a nuestra oficina. Yo estaba platicando sobre eso earlier, que es una conexión con la comunidad. Él tiene una historia bien, como para mí es bien inspirational. Él crecí en Guanajuato y venía aquí sin papeles y él tenía, una vez yo quiero que él puede estar en este junta para discutir su historia, pero él es el primer teniente como comandante que no tenía papeles y tenía que agarrar su ciudadano y ya está un líder en mi oficina, en nuestra oficina de alguacil, y él es un gran parte de las cosas que estoy tratando de hacer con la conexión con nuestra comunidad. So thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing a little bit about that. I think I just want to highlight one thing that, when we're conducting these interviews and just having these informal conversations, we have some kind of guiding questions, but I love how we've transitioned to know a little bit about you, community, family, but we've also talked about some, not so easy topics like representation, why it matters, right? We've talked a little bit about the importance of female empowerment, of just systemic racism. And those are conversations that nowadays are frowned upon or make people uncomfortable, right? But I love how we've talked about it, not in a biased way or in a way that makes people uncomfortable, but rather just acknowledging them and being at the forefront of being proactive with the solutions for the county. Quiero compartir bien rápido una anécdota de cuando la primera vez que yo conocí a Dolores Morales, estaba con mi mamá y la primera cosa que nos impresionó fue que luego se presentó, nos introducimos y Dolores, you started talking to my mom in Spanish right away, and my mom was taken aback, not because, more so because I think she was just happy to have someone talk to her in her language. Mi mamá no habla español, no habla inglés, solamente español. Entonces, para que alguien como mi mamá se sintiera representada, se sintiera a gusto y cómoda, poder hacer una pregunta a alguien que participa en el concilio, que está haciendo decisiones para el mejoramiento de la comunidad, es súper importante cuando hablamos de representación. Entonces, creo que eso es algo que nos inspira y nos motiva. Yo creo, porque ya casi estamos terminando con el tiempo, la última pregunta que me gustaría hacerles es, and I'll say it in English and Spanish here, but what advice would you give to everyone listening or just in general to foster leadership and empowerment on all levels, right? We talked again about representation and all of that stuff, but what advice would you really give to someone to really, again, foster that leadership and empowerment? Y la pregunta es, en español, ¿qué es el consejo que ustedes le darían a la comunidad o a la audiencia que nos está viendo el día de hoy para poder empoderar a los demás o inspirar el liderazgo en los demás? And then we'll take it back to Dolores and then Eric Taylor, and then we'll do some closing comments after that. So thank you.
Gracias por la pregunta. Y my advice would be to listen with your heart, with your mind, with your eyes, but body language is what they say 60 or 80% of communication. Content is very little. But also how you make me feel throughout that journey, throughout that communication. So I am fortunate to work in an area where I have access to a lot of information and leaders throughout the entire world. I've learned more through talking to a 15-year-old who's honest and direct, and but having the ability to just listen. And every single person that you meet in your entire life will have something to share and something that you can learn from. And so whether it's, them telling you that you're, crazy or not very bright, or that you're a horrible politician, or that you're a horrible employee, or whatever it is, what they're sharing with you is that emotion, and emotions are secondary to something that's really important to them. So when you listen, listen to what are they trying to tell you? If they don't have the words or they don't have the ability to communicate, take a little bit of time to just say, they're sharing something, what are they trying to tell me? And if they're passionate or they're angry or they're sharing some kind of emotion, it just tells you that it's what they're sharing with you, something really important to them. So take the time to just listen and try to find their underlying needs or what they're really trying to communicate to you in the best way that they can. So listen not only with your heart, but also with your mind, and also be solution driven. And take people where they are. So some people are ready to go 100 miles an hour. Some people, are going to, take one step at a time, and that's okay. Because, we are where we are, and we're going to move forward together, and it's okay to fail. Failure, it means that you're moving forward in a way that you need to, and failure is how you learn. So listen, understand that people are in different places, and that's okay. And also don't be afraid to fail, and fail as many times as possible in a safe environment or not safe, because it just means that that you're moving in the right direction, and that you'll get there eventually. It's like walking. Spanish. Sorry. Lo que les quiero decir, si quieren consejos de mí, es de que escuchen a la gente. Escúchenlas con su corazón, con su mente. Traten de escuchar en la forma que ellos pueden lo que le están diciendo, porque lo que les están diciendo es muy importante para la persona. Y cada persona puede ser alguien que tenga su PhD o alguien que tenga 3 años o 15 años. Cada persona tiene algo que enseñarnos, y tenemos que tener el corazón y la mente abierta para aprender de cada uno. También cada persona está en un lugar diferente. Hay personas que les dices algo y ya lo hicieron, y otras personas que les dura un poquito más de tiempo para procesar la información y para empezar. Pero mientras estemos dispuestos a trabajar juntos, todo va a seguir bien. Y lo último es de que cuando personas les dicen algo, traten de resolver las cosas y no tengan miedo de fracasar, porque el fracasar quiere decir que al menos están intentando y que eventualmente vamos a llegar a donde queremos llegar. Es como caminar. Si decimos a un bebé, no caminas porque te caíste 1 o 2 veces, nunca va a caminar. Sabemos que esa persona joven va a caminar, es nada más a su tiempo, tratando y tratando, pero eventualmente va a caminar. Entonces, tengan paciencia, escuchen y sigan adelante.
Thank you.
Well,
Gracias.
Dolores basically stole my answer. Dolores me robó mi respuesta, honestamente. So, and I know we're getting short on time, so what I'll just quickly try to say is that it's easy to say that we should always be honest with each other. And definitely in public safety, you expect our deputy sheriffs to always be trustworthy and honest. But I think the number one thing for me and what you'll always get from me, and I had a tough discussion with one of my subordinates yesterday, but it always comes from the heart. And I'm always going to be honest with you, even if it's something you don't want to hear. I'll always try to tell you what I can do for you, but I'm always going to be honest with the things that we can't do. And kind of what we talked about a little bit here is that having the courage to have the tough conversations, having the courage to, in this cancel culture that we live in, we should never mistreat anybody. We should never be condescending. But there are truths that we need to discuss. There are things that have happened in the history of government that need to be fixed. And we need to be honest with each other about that. And so it doesn't matter if it's in a case that we work or in force that we use or things that we do. I require my staff and myself to just always be straightforward and honest. And I think that if you do that, you're not always going to make everybody happy, but everybody will at least know that you didn't try to pull the wool over their eyes and you didn't try to skirt an issue. I just think that the honesty and openness of communication is the best thing. I'll leave it at that.
I appreciate that. I appreciate both of your answers, and it's definitely taking notes on how to apply that advice to my life daily. I know when I stepped in at the chamber, socially, we've been going through a lot of change as a nation. A lot of things that were okay a long time ago are not okay now, and people are speaking up and being vocal about making change. Youth are empowered, women are empowered, minority groups are empowered. And I really love that as a community, we're empowering not only our organizations to be active in that mission to talk about these things, but I love that in this moment, we kind of kicked the door open to say like, hey, we are open to having these conversations. And then as people start joining, that we can kind of just blow that wide open and then kind of shed light on things that need change, not like you said, Sheriff Taylor, not in a negative way, not in a condescending way, but in a way that our community really needs to be embraced and supported. We're going through so much change. We're way more diverse than we ever were. And as a young leader, that's a woman of color, my family came from Korea. So I'm first generation American because my family's from Korea and my mom's side is from Mexico. So for me, I really love that we're having these conversations, and I love that we got to know you guys on a personal level too. So learning what you're passionate about, I'll think of things, and anytime I see a body of water, I'm going to be like, I bet Sheriff Taylor and his family would love this, So, and for me, I know Dolores loves books, and her and I are collectors and lovers of books. So I love that I can think of you guys now and know a little bit more about you. So thank you for sharing time and space with all of us as a community. And I think my favorite thing that I've always kind of understood and connected with you guys on is just that you guys are so approachable. And I think there's just a sense of openness and humbleness and just being approachable. And that shows me a true level of care. There is no ego, there is no arrogance. It's just straight love for the community and an intention to always do the right thing. So I appreciate that. Thank you guys so much. And thank you for being here. And I look forward to, staying connected and supporting everything that you're working on that makes San Benito County so great. So thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you both very much for the communication and for having us be here. It's great. And thank you, Dolores, for all your support. You've been great since you've been here. I appreciate you very much, and I'm very excited for your future here with our community. So thanks.
Pues
Yeah.
nuevamente, muchas gracias a todos, a los que nos están viendo desde casa, desde sus trabajos. Muchas gracias por estar aquí con nosotros y compartir una hora de su tiempo para conocer a estos dos individuos que son tan importantes, tan esenciales, pero tan humanos. Creo que eso es lo que aprendimos el día de hoy, que somos personas profesionales que tenemos nuestras carreras, nuestras profesiones, pero más allá de eso, somos personas en donde es importante ser sinceros, ser humildes. Y el consejo que me llevo yo personalmente, pero que resuena mucho con lo que ustedes de lo que hablaron, es escuchar. Siempre estar ahí para escuchar a los demás y ser honestos. Escuchar con el corazón y con honestidad, creo que son dos consejos súper increíblemente importantes para poder llevar con nosotros y también inculcar a nuestros hijos, a las generaciones del día de mañana. Así que muchas gracias otra vez por estar aquí con nosotros. Fue un placer compartir con mi colega Michelle, pero también con ustedes como dos invitados de Chamber Cafecito por el mes de marzo. Espero que hayan tenido un muy buen tiempo con nosotros. Nuevamente recordamos a todos que esta grabación va a estar disponible en YouTube y en las redes sociales más adelante. So thank you again for everybody that joined us, either Facebook Live, on Zoom, and just a reminder that we will be sharing it again on our social media, and on our YouTube channels and website. So thank you again. I walk away inspired, rejuvenated, energized, and as always, thank you for everything.
Have a lovely, lovely day.
Thank you so much. Have a happy Friday. We appreciate you both. Thank you so much.
Thank you.